My name is Abel Pacheco. I'm one of your hosts. I'm the president and principal of Five Talents, Five Talents Capital. We'll go into a little bit more introduction in a minute, and I have Mr. Ed Guerrero.
Yes, CPA, over 7,000 clients, and we're cranking them out. And it's tax season, so if you haven't filed your extension, get your extension in. It is 4/5, so you got plenty of time to get that extension. Take it away, Abel.
Get it on. Well, that's awesome. Well, good deal. So my name is Abel Pacheco. We're going to cover really a quick wealth building case study, and we're going to explain how busy professionals generate some passive income. And a lot of times they're able to invest in deals that they've never really heard of. And what's shocking to a lot of people is that you can invest in real estate without having to do a lot of the work. So we appreciate you coming in. So we'll just go ahead and jump right into the show here, into our webinar topic. So we're going to cover a number of items. We're going to cover the Five Talents passive investing strategy. So we're Five Talents Capital. It's our passive investment strategy. We're going to cover how to apply the strategy for creating passive income and using the strategy as a leverage point in your overall portfolio. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room, which comes up quite often. Anytime I speak with somebody that's thinking about partnering with us for the first time, a lot of times they kind of have a couple of key questions, concerns that come up, some hesitancy. So we're going to talk about those because I am a passive investor myself. It's how I started commercial real estate investing. So we're going to address that elephant in the room. We're going to talk about the investor club opportunity. So we're going to talk about the potential deals that do come up. We're going to explain our strategy and our group of investors that pull our capital together to go win bigger opportunities and do this. So we're excited about sharing a little bit more about our club and our opportunity. And of course, this is just a disclaimer. You know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one on TV or anything like that either. It is essentially not an advisor either. You need to contact professionals to give you some advice, but this is not an offering memorandum or anything like that. Just a little bit of insight on how we do things today. So we want you to know you're in the right spot if you are an accredited investor. You are somebody who earns high W-2 income, an entrepreneur, a business owner, somebody that wants to invest in real estate. You understand the benefits that it provides without having the headaches of being a landlord, managing toilets, tenants, termites, as the fun saying goes. If you're tired of just relying on the stock market for your legacy wealth, or you just want more freedom through passive income. So a lot of people create passive income. And on that side of it, it is the ability to create wealth without having to do the work. We're all looking for that financial freedom. So if that's you, you're in the right spot. And what we're going to do, as soon as my slide deck unfreezes here, we'll talk about, who we are. So I'm the president and principal of Five Talents Capital. We'll talk a little bit about our mission, what we stand for, that kind of thing. And really, I'm from San Antonio, Texas, originally from Corpus Christi. I've lived here for 20 something years. And I've been investing in real estate since 2008. I have a family, a 4 and a 2-year-old. And my wife and I have been investing for years because we always knew that if we didn't create something for ourselves, we were always going to have to go work for somebody else. Kind of like the old adage goes, right? So we wanted to create that. And so that's what we started. We started Five Talents Capital, which is a real estate investment firm here in San Antonio, Texas. We're invested in about 1,500 doors actively as general partners. And much of it is here in San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo City. And, what we do now is I've learned enough from others on how to build wealth, like the 1%, how to invest like the biggest, investors do in this country without having to work for it. They invest their dollars without putting time, effort, and energy. So I learned that through a series of educational courses, classes, content, training, seminars, a bunch of different conferences that I went to. I traveled all over around the country. And essentially now I enjoy sharing this with other people because a big part of what we do is teamwork. So you see some of these pictures from some of those conferences. Some of the time I get to speak at the front of the room. So I'm from tech. I had a tech background, had an exit in 2016. So I was 2006 to 2016 locally. I worked at a company called Rackspace. It was a small $100 million startup when I started there. It exited a $2 billion company. So we had a fun run through that. I take any of the principles and mindsets around principles, working with people, working with big business, education on scaling, growth, and mission. And that's a little bit about us. So I told you personally, family man, but also deacon at my church. I practice a little Kung Fu. If anybody's Wing Chun Kung Fu, I like hunting. And, now we're invested in a bunch of real estate. So that's me and my wife. This little single family house you see to the left, I put a picture of that. That was the first house that I lived in Corpus Christi, Texas. My dad bought this 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, I think maybe. So a little small matchbox of a house. And that was his first rental property. He bought a second house, which was a nicer home, and rented out the first one. Well, he used to take me to that, and before electronic payments, we used to go pick up the rent check every month, and that was kind of my first start. I'm a second generation real estate investor, and now the properties you see here in the middle, this little screenshot, is what we invest in today, commercial real estate. So we love, having that background of encouragement, helping others, motivating others to do something bigger than they would have been able to do on their own. Integrity is important. I show you a couple of testimonials from my past, and just to kind of give you an idea of, and we love working hard. We love providing others with information. We're servant-based leadership, company. We want to help others succeed, and so we've had a lot of success along the way. So what we're really talking about again today, after I've introduced myself, is why we choose to invest in apartment buildings, right? We choose to invest in commercial real estate, triple net lease, and we do some development as well. We mainly do it for cash flow. We want consistent cash flow to come in. We want properties that we can invest in that are in demand, an investment that's not going out of style. People always need a place to live, and it has good demand. It also provides, in today's time, a hedge against inflation. The interest rates, we see those. The Fed is increasing interest rates today in an attempt to curb inflation. As inflationary period occurs today, your spending power is diminished with every week, month, and year that goes by. And so real estate, apartment buildings are a great way to hedge against inflation. It's also a good tax benefit, as Ed's going to talk about a little bit later, which is, we put in my example in 2018. My first year I invested $100K. We wrote off about $69,000 in taxes. We essentially retired my wife. She stayed home. She was our real estate professional on the books. And we saved a lot of money from taxes that I normally would have paid, Uncle Sam would have had, but instead we got to invest them. We like apartment buildings and commercial real estate for appreciation. There's very little things that you can invest in today, not have to do any work, and then know the appreciation is going up and to the right. The economics of scale. So if you've ever found a good single family house, one property, one time, you knew how much work it takes to find that property. Well, think about doing that 150 times or 1,500 times. It becomes an arduous chore. So what we do is we find a deal with 150 doors all at once. And it's one deal, one time. And, that's a beautiful thing. Leverage, another thing, there's very few startups. Look for any one of them. You're not going to find it. If you go to the bank and ask them to give you 75% of all the needed money to start a business, it's not going to happen. And in commercial real estate, multifamily apartments, they give us non-recourse debt. The banks love it. They give us a lot of money. And the reason is there's a lot of people that have, need a place to live, clean, comfortable, safe, and high demand. So we also do build to rent. So what is build to rent? It's essentially a horizontal apartment complex. Instead of going up, it goes horizontally. It's a subdivision of single family houses, much like you would just any other neighborhood, except instead of selling them as houses, what we do is rent them all. Them and the profit and loss, the financials work exactly like an apartment complex. So that provides us the ability to build at scale and also have the economics or the economies of multifamily housing. Income minus expenses equals NOI, and we force the appreciation from the ground up. We're also developing, 156 unit multifamily apartment complexes as well. But the last asset class we invest in is triple net lease. If you've known me for a little while, I am a San Antonio, Texas multifamily investor. I live and breathe the Alamo City. If you want to invest in San Antonio, Texas, we're right here. However, every once in a while, some of our investors want a little bit of diversification. So we provide them with triple net lease opportunities, sometimes in Texas, sometimes outside of, but these are like commercial industrial warehouses. They're office space or headquarters, cash flowing assets that have usually a single tenant, and they're locked into leases for a lot of years. Tenants paying cash flow day one, their business is there, they operate there, their home is there, but they don't want to leave. They sell their buildings to us. It turns into an operational expense for them, and we take the asset of the commercial real estate. So anyways, a little bit about us and the assets we're investing in. So I told you I would talk about this elephant in the room, right? What the heck how do we do this? Like, we're literally working on investment strategies where the number one question that I hear from newcomers, first time passive investors is, how do I know I'm going to get my money back? Right? I put some money in, but how do I know it's going to come back? Is it safe? Is it secure? Is someone going to run away with the money? All of those things. And those are real fears, worries, and concerns, because there are a few, unfortunately, unscrupulous, teams every once in a while, the minority, that have been, that have had some bad, issues where something happens and money gets taken. And that's never a good situation. So what happens is we want to give our investors peace of mind. We want to let investors know that we are absolutely real. This is not Bernie Madoff time. It's not a Ponzi scheme time. We work with real investors pulling our money in to buy something bigger than what we would have been able to do. And obviously those things are illegal and you can get arrested and get jail and all that stuff, but that stuff happens, right? And so that's a real fear of a lot of people. Second one that I hear a lot is, we were putting some money in as a passive investment, and some people are worried about the accounting, the books, the making sure that my dollar is invested and no one's just going on some vacation somewhere and spending all my money, right? And those things are pretty bad, obviously, but there's some other things that are not against the law but are still affecting investment returns in passive investments today. And these are some other fears, avoidable mistakes that we want to get out of. It's just really incompetence. It's working with teams that don't know what they're doing, how to invest, how to manage properties. They don't really understand the mechanics. They were able to pull some capital together and buy something. But, those are the really three things that you're obviously trying to avoid. Is you want to work with the right team with the right deal in the right market. And all of those challenges are very real things. And even working with good teams is just making sure that you have, accurate communication and reporting. I've heard of investors that put some money in to some teams and never heard back from their syndicators or operators or the team, their investment team, for 6 months, 9 months after email and phone call. And that is a real challenge, as is lack of transparency, being able to see what's going on, maybe on a regular basis, reporting some idea of what's happening with the property, as well as some teams are a little more speculative than others. And some teams are more aggressive in their underwriting than others, not so conservative. So all of these are challenges from the world of passive investing. There's sometimes delays on distributions. Principals are hard to get a hold of. There's so much. Working with Ed, we talked about the complications at tax time. Some investors, have this hard deadline, which is I've got to make sure my taxes are simple and easy, and I got to make sure that you're by the April the 15th, which it happens. I understand that mindset. The moment that I started creating business structures and entities and investing in multiple LLCs, I realized how beneficial it was to file for an extension, because there's a lot of extra complications that do come investing in this, which is you own businesses. And I have an LLC, I have a K1, I have an extra step in my tax reporting. So those are all challenges that, a lot of people have. And, some people, it's a little hard to give $50,000. Usually it's our minimum investment to somebody that we're not quite sure what's going to happen with that money. And I've heard this say, and I forget who says it, but sometimes it's easier to drop my kids off, which are my beautiful, amazing, God-given children, at a babysitter's house who I may know very little about. It's easier for me to do that than give $50,000 away to somebody for an investment. And if you have that mindset, that's a real fear. So you're not alone in that, but that's how tightly we're holding on to this money. The harder you hold on to it, though, the less you're going to be able to actually invest it, put it into something that's going to grow. And the more you try to hold on to it, unfortunately, inflation is going to take your money, whether you're holding on to it or not. So we try to create this 5 talents capital investing experience, which is a little bit different. It's the opposite of what we just talked about. And we believe in fully transparent investing experience where people and relationships, they come first. We want to invest and have investors have full transparency, have a consistent monthly communication and visibility into what's going on. We do give K1s every single year into our investments. I've heard of some where you sign a paperwork and, I don't know if I own it or not. And we are creating the environment where we're coming in with a conservative approach, right? We want to underpromise and overdeliver. And I tell you all those things because at 5 Talents Capital, we don't want your investment just one time. We want to take 50 or 100 grand and make it 200 grand after 4 or 5 years. And we want 200 grand to become 400 grand after another 5, and, another 800 grand and 1.6 million bucks after a nice number of years of investment cycles. One seed, 50 goes to 100 to 200 to 400 to 800. And we love as many of those investment seeds to work with our investors as possible. So that's kind of what we're always aiming for, right? We're aiming for double-digit returns, doubling money in about 6 years, 50K turning to 100, 100K turning into 2, and so on. And if we can provide a good investment vehicle for us to make returns, but also give back to nonprofits, which we do support locally here in San Antonio, an environment where you have direct access to the principals, us, and giving that red carpet treatment, sort of that the white glove approach. We want to give investors peace of mind. We want investors to know that they can have a team that is passionate about what we do, that shares knowledge, that gives information back, that provides education for our investors. You can kind of see a couple of testimonials from others. And we want to provide the experience where other people are trying to do better, trying to better themselves, trying to provide an environment where, we've got the ability to take money, be good stewards of people's capital, turn it back around. And so the way we've done that is we have a pretty unique process for sourcing deals. We evaluate a ton of deals, and essentially it is more opportunities than the average bear would be able to see, so to speak. And how do we do that? We end up literally underwriting 50, 60, 75, sometimes 100 deals, evaluating, and we say no a lot more than we say yes. We have target markets here in South Texas, San Antonio specifically, that have good median income, that we can consistently increase the rents, that have a high demand for housing. We pour a lot of money into these target markets here in South Texas. And what we do is we provide clean, comfortable, safe living for hardworking, middle-income folks that just have a desperate need for really good place to lay their heads, raise their families. And that's what we do. We find them over and over again. We walk a lot of properties. We make a lot of offers. And then, we force the value up. Exactly what I mentioned. We put a bunch of money into the property. People were willing to put an extra $100, $200 a month on rents. The value add happens, which is the price of the property goes from X to Y to Z over about 3 to 6 years, whole time period. And what we do is, we start taking investment opportunities and paying out distributions. So some investors like cash flow, and sometimes they start, immediately. Sometimes it takes 6 months, sometimes a little longer, shorter. Every deal is a little different, but cash flow throughout the deal. And our goal is, again, to double money in about 5 to 6 years is really the rough goal. So I'm going to show a deal example with you before I turn it over to Ed. And we've talked about the process. Now let's talk about some real estate. So this is a real example that we purchased in 2019, kind of a before and after picture. You can kind of see just a little touch up on the paint, make it a little bit more appealing to the eye. Here's the original grounds. Here's the grounds as this is today. And it looks a little nicer. What you're looking for is curb appeal. Just the same way a single family house, when I roll up to a house considering to buy it as a potential renter, I do the same. I want to drive into the parking lot, see a beautiful office, have a nice walkway to my model unit, look at the pool, and that's where we spend our money on. So if you can see that, that's a little bit about us and how we do, these properties. But this is a real case study, 124 doors. We acquired it in 2019. We did this with a group of other investors. We all pulled our capital, our resources, our time. And in November 2021, after doing about a little over $500,000 of investments, we originally projected 19% return. We delivered 29% return. So it's a very clean asset, very crisp opportunity. Had some preferred returns, had some quarterly distributions. We projected 5 years. We sold early in 2.5. We gave our investors monthly communication. We found the deal, quote unquote, through a broker relationship. We were a local buyer, local experience, and local presence. And, they awarded us the deal. So this was our opportunity that we sold. We were excited to do it. And this was, again, in 2019. The most recent example is a 170 unit property that we acquired in February of 2022. So just a couple months ago. We're projecting to provide our investors 15 to 18% annualized return. It's an equity multiple of 1.85 over 5 years, or pretty much double our money if it were to go 6 years. The 7% preferred return, and it was about a $50,000 minimum investment. These deals are pretty similar. They're all a little different, but they're pretty much the same. Putting money in, passive investment, good real estate in good markets. And, this structure, you'll see the recording later. You can dig into it. But our general partner team takes a portion, but the lion's share, about 70% of all the profits, to summarize this page, goes to our passive investors. So we're excited about that. And, if you want to learn a little bit more about our potential opportunities, double-digit returns with passive income, with good tax benefits, let us know. These are first come, first serve opportunities. So these capital raises, they go pretty quick. The only part about it, here's the catch, right? Is that these are investment opportunities that very few people actually have the opportunity to, number one, see, and number two, invest in. So when these deals come up, there's a lot of capital that comes in very quickly. They're very high demand. We typically raise anywhere from $3 to $8 million in a 60 to 90 day window. So it happens like that. And it has to come in at a first come, first serve basis, because as soon as the bank account is full, as soon as we have enough equity, not a penny less, not a penny more, we basically set the line in the sand, and then we go buy the property. So if you want to learn how to get in the future, it's best to learn how to do this stuff today. You learn a little bit more when there's not a live deal. So when a future opportunity comes available, you already know what to expect, you know how to get in. So these deals are about 50 to 100K minimum requirement, as we mentioned. And we share this with you because we have a very active pipeline, anywhere between 4 to 7 opportunities in a year. And if you want to know more, you can, our next steps, just go to our website. We're going to have, our website is 5talents.capital, to get to the punchline in a second. But what we're going to do is dive deeper into potential opportunities. We'll cover some more tax benefits. We'll talk about the timing of each deal. We're going to register you for our investment club, and you can go to 5talents.capital, and we'll basically set you up. You'll have a recording of this, walkthrough, and then we're going to put you on a monthly newsletter, give you some education, tell you about our events that we're meeting in person, and then let's schedule some time. We can talk about your own strategy. And a lot of it comes down to what Ed's going to talk about, is avoiding taxes, or paying Uncle Sam only the taxes that you should. So minimizing your capital, your taxable income. There you go. So come visit us, www.5talents.capital. Register there. We can have you join our club. So I'm going to turn it over to Ed, because Ed's going to share the tax portion with us, which is super awesome. And if you don't know Ed Guerrero, you need to get into his world. He's who I refer all the time to our investors when they say, hey, I need somebody to help me with my taxes, with my strategy. Ed's the man. He's been helping me for years. So anyways, let me turn it over to Ed. Thank you very much, brother.
Hey, Abel. Awesome, buddy. Awesome. Good info. When I first learned about multifamily, I'm going to be sharing my screen here. When I first learned about multifamily, at first I was like, it's too good to be true. And then 14 deals later, it's true. and I get it. It's like every real estate deal. What's the risk? What's the reward? And how does it play? And I've been the CPA to a lot of syndicators, a lot of apartment syndicators out there. And when I'm looking at this game, I'm thinking, wow, the risk is minimal, but it's risk, and the rewards are there. And again, when I looked at not only the risk and reward, I looked at also the tax benefit. And that's what got me real excited. And that's what made me, I'm all in. And that's what I want to educate my client base and everybody out there. So that's why we put this show together, because really it does take time, and I get it. It takes time to take the information in, digest it, process it, and get comfortable with it. Once you get comfortable with it, be careful, you'll be executing like me over and over and over. And I say be careful, I mean that in a good way. So let's get started. I'm all about the real estate on the deduction side. A little bit about us. We're one of the fastest growing CPAs because we love to educate the public. Education by nature is our game, because we want you to know what to do and do it the right way, not the wrong way. We want you to understand. And again, what we say here today is just the top level of the concept. We've got to be able to implement these concepts in there. So proactive versus reactive. We talk about.
I think you're real quick, Ed. Sorry, your screen is not shared.
Oh, it's not? Okay, let me go back again. Sorry about that, guys. I got all excited.
We were ready, man. We are ready. There you go.
All right, okay. From the beginning again, there we go. So let me just flip through the slides here. Fastest growing CPAs, you heard that. We're a proactive versus reactive. So key is all about taxes is being proactive. How can you stay in front of the game? Well, that's when you take advantage of what if you get into this deal? What if you invest in a multifamily? What if you invest in 2? What if you invest in 3? See, we talk about this because these are the things that people don't talk about before the end of tax season and then before the end of the year. And they've got to get in there before the end of the year. And we always push the close before the end of the year. So when you come to our firm, there is a 9-step process, not an 8-step. 9-step meaning most tax firms in 8. If you look at it, that's the filing process. That's the e-filing. We actually continue on the 9th step called tax checkup. Tax Checkup is a series of strategies for you to continue to help lower your taxes. Tax surgery is a little further. That's an advanced tax strategies, and that's what we go into at least 5-6 meetings with you, going in depth with a lot more strategies. So again and again, what is it for you? It's the art of not only making the money, how about the art of keeping the money? Have you ever thought about that? I've spoken to a lot of groups, and I'll always ask, how many of you have mastered the art of making money? And I get a ton of people raising their hands up. But when I ask the second question, how many of you mastered the art of keeping the money? 0 hands. And unless you have a vehicle like multifamily, unless you have commercial property, unless you have major write-offs, again, these are the things of art of keeping money. So why not make an investment to Uncle You instead of, we all have the same uncle, don't we? Uncle Sam. So when you learn the game of Uncle You, that's what we're going to be talking about. These are some of my favorite books that I read. And I always tell people, read to get comfortable with what we do. So we have an ecosystem. So when you come here, you get affiliated, you get introduced to lots of folks that are trusted advisors, trusted partners. And that's what we have today. We have a trusted partnership with Abel and 5 Talents because we know him. We understand him. We know where he's coming from. And we've had a relationship for years, guys, not just last year, several years, 3, 4, 5 years easily, and see the results. And the results are in the proof. That's the game that we look at. So, there's 2 tax systems out there, right? Those that are informed and those that are not informed, which is you. Many people are not informed multifamily. Abel set some numbers out, and I'm going to be showing you a case study with multifamilies. Are you informed? If you invest $100,000, what kind of depreciation would you get? What if that syndicator does a cost segregation? That's a beautiful word in our space. That's a beautiful word against your taxes. Again and again, are you informed? Most people aren't. They've never even heard of that word, cost segregation. I think I'm going to make a shirt, Abel, and put it all over me, just cost seg all the way through.
Cost seg.
And I don't want to put hashtag cost seg, right? People be like, what the hell is that? So number one thing, people fear the IRS. You should learn to embrace the IRS. Again, we're not talking about doing something wrong. We're doing something right. This is what the wealthy have been doing. Change of mindset. This is what we talk about. How do you do it? You got to change your belief. Got to change your story. You've got to change your strategy. Those are the 3 things you have to do to get that mindset change. And again, thinking like the wealthy will make you wealthier. If you're not thinking like the wealthy, what's the opposite? Think like what? The average Joe or poor person. Come on. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying you've got to learn to raise your bar, raise your game of how to think like the wealthy. Tax prep versus tax strategy. This is the equation that I came up with. And seriously, when you really look at taxes like an equation, you'll get it. You'll understand tax prep plus strategies equals your tax system. What does your tax system look like? This is my tax system today. Don't get anxiety over it. I just started with 1 circle, and it grew and it grew and it grew. Access Capital series, that's my multifamily. I said I have 14 of them. Yes, they're all in there. I have rentals, 21, owner finance. I've got Airbnbs, commercial. Do we do a lot of real estate? Yes. Do we sleep with real estate? Yes. Am I guilty of real estate? Yes. Okay. Lots of real estate. And why do I say that? It's because the wealthy, if you look at their portfolio, they got a lot of real estate. They got a lot of companies, a lot of real estate, a lot of stuff. How do I deduct it is our phrase. How can I deduct multifamily? We're going to show you that. Also, we want to tell you taxes are not what you have to pay. It's what you want to pay. Doesn't that sound a little weird? And I know you're going, I'm going to jail and he's Mexican. Well, there's 2 Mexicans here. So anyway, just a kid and joke. Come on.
I love it.
All I want you to understand is if you want to pay less in taxes, why not invest in a multifamily? If you want to pay less in taxes, why not invest in real estate? You get it. So again, today we're talking about the multifamily. These are all the different types of investments you can make: buy and holds, owner finance, wholesale flips, commercial, multifamily. There's just more. One of the things I want to bring up is passive versus active. You got to learn this. This is passive investments. Now, how can you become active? Well, you can raise your game to become active. How can you take advantage of your real estate investor deductions? Will become more active. A lot of this is over time. You might start off as a passive and then ask, how do I move to active? Because we're going to tell you the activity you need to do. These are a few parameters: 750 hours. We have an income test. We also have a reasonable test. Are you doing the activity? Are you keeping up with the activity? Are you logging everything in? Are you logging it in your calendars? Are you have an Excel worksheet, Google Sheets, time tracking? All of these things matter when you're claiming. You can't just say I'm an active investor. You've got to execute and document as an active investor. And again, that doesn't mean you're a realtor. It means you're a real estate professional. Now, you could be a realtor and a real estate professional and take advantage of this. But again, are you required to be a realtor? No. You can be a real estate professional by actively participating over and over in these investments that we talk about. So I just talked about the business formation. I'm going to show this in a cleaner scale here. What do we have? We have the real estate investor company. That's an LLC with an S election. Then we have, if you want to be a GP, a general partner, and you also have where you hold your limited and partnership investments. How about having a series LLC? You don't need to have them, but is it a better idea? Probably. And we'll get into more details why. I had numerous discussions with different attorneys, and I see why when you have 10, 12, 14, 18, 20 properties that you're investing over and over and over, that's a good thing to have these away from your personal. So that way they're not personally held, they're corporately held. Again, what else goes with deductions? The automobiles, do you buy a vehicle for your real estate business? How do you take Section 179, all of it? Or do you take depreciation? Or do you take mileage or actual? These are all methods that will help you reduce your taxes. How about deductions that run your business? How about just business expenses? How about meals? How about cell phones? All of this, we have a checklist for you, and you can plug into that checklist. If you call our office, I'll give you the phone number. You can ask for Jill. Don't ask for Ed. Ask for Jill. She'll get you that checklist. And Jill likes it when I mention her name, but you can ask for it. It's a free checklist. We can get it to you. How about hiring your kids to work? How about positioning them to work in your real estate game? Many parents have hired their kids to put in to work. I know some of you are going, well, my kid's only 5 years old. My kid's only 10 years old. Doesn't matter. You're not putting them as an employee. You're putting them as a contractor. And if you kids in the west side, they go to work at 5, 6 years old. If they're in the north side, 16 years old. That's what my wife said. And we compromised with my son, who is 11. Today, he manages all my investments in my real estate game, and he's 24 years old. Why? Because he's been around this game. Teach them the wealthy way of thinking, they're going to become wealthier. So I talked about cost segregation. This is a method of depreciation. If you don't know what depreciation is, it's what you get to take when you buy into real estate. Simple real estate, residential, apartment complex, 27.5. Commercial real estate, retail centers, buildings, 39. Autos, 5 years, or Section 179. But this big word here called cost segregation allows you to break this up and break up your purchase, break up the individual items into segments so you can segregate and break them down into 5, 7, 10, 15, 39 years, or 27 years. Whichever you're doing, that allows you to accelerate depreciation. The word accelerate depreciation. Instead of taking it over 27.5, we accelerate it. So it feels like the first year you take a monster depreciation, and then the rest of the next 27 years, you take a smaller depreciation. This is what Abel mentioned earlier, an investment of 100,000. This is just an example, guys. This is a guaranteed example. 100,000 and some of these acceleration cost segregation deduction, $61,000. If you're at 30%, that translates to $18,300 in reduction of your tax bill. If you round it up, like for me, I just made easy math. If I can do 5, I can probably estimate $100,000 off my tax bill. How would you like that? See, that's how I get to how many do I need to do? Do I need to do 2? Do I need to do 3? Do I need to do 4 or 5? It's a question of how much do you want to reduce your tax bill? Again and again, you need to understand this game further. Yes, we would love to sit with you. Again, what are we talking about? Putting money into the fourth bucket. Fourth bucket meaning tax deduction in real estate. Yes, there's other buckets to use. However, this fourth bucket has been very fruitful and is a great game to play in the game of real estate. If you haven't been to our Zoom shows, we're on Monday through Friday. This is our Zoom code. Take a picture. Take a picture of this. We're on Zoom all the time. Why? Because you should be learning all the time. That's the key to success, guys. It isn't about learning it once and you got it. No, you continually learn over different case studies. If you haven't gone to our Facebook, this is go look. There's a lot of different videos, websites, videos. We're building out a YouTube channel so that you, our clients, if you're clients, you're lucky. You're going to be rewarded for YouTube at any time access to all these shows. Again, call us, make an appointment, 490-7100. Love to help you. If you need that checklist, ask for Jill, not Ed, but call us. We love to help you. Free. We'll do a free analysis for you. And we always say, go see Ed. Back to you, Abel.
All right. Love it. Thank you very much, as always. So if you all want to learn more, you can go connect with Ed and ask for Jill, as he mentioned, and then go to our website, 5talents.capital. You can go to our podcast as well, 5 Talents Podcast. We are extremely excited to start season 3. So the first 200 shows on our podcast, we did active investors, other syndicators and operators, and we're transitioning to season 3. We're going to interview more experts like Ed to learn how in the world to keep our money, tax strategists, financial advisors, planners, et cetera, et cetera. So look forward to having you. And thank you very much for everyone showing up. Everyone that registered, I think we'll get you the video recording and talk to you soon. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Ed.
See you, buddy. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.